What is up, Nerf Nation? I'm Naptown Nerf, and we're going to do a mod guide on the Nerf Rival Hera today. Let's crack her open. You just want to make sure you get your solder to flow before you pull up with your whatever. I just used a flathead screwdriver. But you just want to make sure your solder is flowing before you do that. If you try to do it before that happens, you're going to bust your tabs off your motors, and then you're going to be hosed, because finding replacements for these isn't the easiest thing to do, and these motors are just fine, so you really don't want to mess those up. Alright, so I just got a sweet little cherry switch in from Foam Blast that I ordered for this project. This should be a nice replacement for the switch that was there, which is this guy. They're basically the same size. This one has a slightly longer lever, and the tabs on the back are a bit longer, so we'll probably have to modify it a little bit, but shouldn't be too big a deal. And that should fit in there really nicely. This is actually a 10 amp or 10.1 amp actually switch instead of 5, so it should last a little longer, and it's a little higher quality. So this one may work if you have no other options and don't want to order this one, but this is very easy to find. I will link the Foam Blast website in the description below, and they're pretty affordable, and so I would highly recommend grabbing one of these, as I think this one will hold up a little bit longer than this guy. Alright, so we will have to do some modification to get this to fit in here. We do not need this tab, as it is the normally closed tab, so I'm going to go ahead and remove that. Okay, you guys, so I'm just trying to figure out exactly how I want to run my wires to make sure they stay out of the way of the trigger and the mag well. There's not a whole lot of space in there, and we're running 16 gauge silicon wire, so that's quite a bit thicker than the wiring that was in there. I think I'm going to run my positive lead up through here and kind of around, just to make sure it stays out of this area. No big deal to have a little extra length there on the wire, and then run to my switch here, and then we'll have to run another lead back to the battery, and then the negative lead will run probably just off of here to the battery. So we'll go ahead and wire this up. It wires up just like pretty much every other semi-auto blaster, just like a Strife, but the motors are oriented a little differently, and the switch is obviously oriented a little differently, but other than that, the wiring diagram's exact same. You go positive from your motors to your switch, back from your switch to the battery, and then negative runs just straight to the battery. So very, very simple. So let's go ahead and get this thing soldered up. Alright, so I just used a little tester, AA battery pack there from, I think it's from Modulus, with my alligator clips here, and just to check which direction the motors are going, and that was correct. So the negative is going to be on the outside, and on the outside of this one, and then the positive will be on the inside. While the hot glue gun is heating up, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to snip this part off. You because I know we're going to need a little extra space for these thick wires to get in there and out. So we'll go ahead and snip this off. Just this one tab. You don't want to go into this part because this is your mag well. You definitely don't want to mess that up. So you be very careful, and it's very handy to have some snips like this. They're very, very useful. So we'll go ahead and use those. Get that snip down. That will make room for the leads off of the switch. You might be able to actually do this cleaner if we take some needle nose pliers, some small ones here, twist this off. Boom. There we go. Remove that. So now we have a little more room for our switch to go in here, just like that. Alright, that one was a bit tricky because you want it to, it has to be low enough for this to sit down, and I did remove a little bit of this back here, so I made sure that there would be room for the wire, but it also needs to come up and out of the way of the trigger here, because you don't want it to interfere with the trigger motion right there. So a little bit of a tricky solder joint there. You just kind of need to make sure it's at the right angle and out of the way of all the parts in here. Moving on to the wire coming off the common, which will go back to the power supply. That's going to be really good placement without any modification to the trigger or to the lever of the switch. So I'll probably put a dab of hot glue at the bottom just to secure the switch, but the switch, because of the size, it fits in that hole really nicely and should be pretty secure in there without too much extra adhesive. So maybe just a dot of hot glue just to keep it down, and then if you need to ever replace that switch, it should be very easy to remove and take out and replace. So okay, just a quick note. So the lock, quote unquote, that is keeping you from pulling the trigger until you pull the rev trigger is actually this plastic part right here. It just hits right there. If you don't like that, then I guess you're gonna have to remove this part of the plastic, but that will probably also keep you from using your trigger lock, which may be a big deal or not. It's not really a big deal to me. I never use that, but for now I think I'm going to leave it just the way it is. Make sure you get everything back into place. I went ahead and put these things back in up there too, and the front muzzle. need to remove a little bit of plastic right here so these wires can go through. And that should be pretty darn easy. Get our little snips, and we're just gonna snip out a little spot right here. Doesn't have to be too big. You can take your needle nose pliers and just kind of twist back and forth. You can get a hold of it. Shouldn't be too difficult. You can kind of twist it off. There we go. And then if you want to clean that up, you can use a file. Kind of clean that up so it doesn't snag the wires at all. Fairly clean there, and we'll go ahead and attach this first, and then we'll put our XT60 connector on, and we should be good to go. Alright, went ahead and snipped these off to a length that I thought was good, and that should be about what you want. You definitely want it long enough so it's easy to remove your battery once you put the XT60 connector on, but obviously you don't need it like extremely long where it's just a lot of excess. So. There you go. Now that's added some strength. Actually doing all that shrink wrap adds a lot of strength to this connection, so when you're pulling off your battery you're not gonna damage anything. So just makes it a little cleaner. Not 100% necessary, although the two that go over the leads there definitely recommended and probably are necessary. Alright, let's go ahead and test this thing out. Sounds like a winner. Alright, one last note. I will most likely probably just use this 1000 milliamp 3S graphene Lipo for this blaster, unless I'm going to some like HVZ event or something that's I'm going to be running this like all day long, and then maybe I would go to something a bit larger, although this would probably still just be fine for that too. But this is a nice size battery tray, so you could fit something this big in here without any issue. But no matter what battery you choose to use in this project, I would highly recommend foam inside of here to kind of secure this into place so it doesn't rattle around, because you don't want your Lipo rattling around. So there you go, a couple pieces of foam. Just will keep it nice and secure in there and should keep it from rattling around. Just like that. Now it's not going anywhere. That is good to go. Put the battery door back on, lock her down, and we're ready to rock. Alright you guys, this thing is sweet. It sounds so much quieter than my Chaos. I think they've really done a good job of making more balanced flywheels and dampening the sound a little bit. And I feel like it's hitting quite a bit harder, which could also have to do with the balance thing. So let's go ahead and put it over the chronograph and see if I'm right. $119, 120, 122, 119. I'm gonna back up because I think I'm losing all of my rival rounds in the pond. All right, let's go again. 118, 124, 115, 121, 123, 118, or 19, I'm sorry, 120, 123, and that's it. All right, well, I would say probably similar FPS, but does definitely sound a lot quieter. It is just completely demolishing those rival rounds
I don't know about demolishing, but there's definitely foam debris, that's for sure. Nevertheless, I hope you guys enjoyed the mod guide. Thank you so much for watching. Smash that like button. Please subscribe if you're not subscribed. And as always, peace out.